You can look at the way someone holds a pair of chopsticks and glimpse how they were raised. A gentle tap on the rim of a bowl to call children to the table. A pair of chopsticks resting diagonally across the bowl after a meal. Or an unconscious gesture of pointing the tips towards someone across from you. All of these are signals that East Asian culture has embedded into human behavior over thousands of years. No other eating utensil in the world turns the user's actions into a form of language quite like chopsticks do. They become a moment to practice restraint, politeness, and order. What is remarkable is that these two slender sticks have traveled a long journey from dry branches picked up beside a hearth to refined cultural symbols across Asia. Within those 20 centimeters lies the residue of material evolution. Customs once debated or contested, and an entire philosophy of life not written in books, but lived through everyday family meals. To understand why such a small object carries such cultural weight, we must begin with the very material that brought it into human life. If any eating tool can reveal the temperament of a civilization, the choice of material for chopsticks is the starting point. Bamboo, a hollow plant that grows rapidly, flexible yet strong, is not merely a cheap resource. The FAO once described bamboo as the green steel of the biosphere, because its microscopic structure contains parallel bundles of cellulose fibers that create impressive tensile strength while remaining light. Enough for delicate movements. Research at Kyoto University measured surface friction between different materials and food. Bamboo produced higher friction than plastic but lower than metal, an optimal zone that allows food to be grasped without crushing it. As a result, bamboo chopsticks transmit direct, honest feedback to the fingertips. The sensation resembles drawing on paper with a pencil rather than a ballpoint pen natural. Slightly textured, giving movement a sense of tactile response. But bamboo does more than function, it creates an experience. A freshly carved pair of bamboo chopsticks carries a faint, sharp scent from its lignin layer. For many East Asians, that smell does not feel unpleasant. It feels familiar, the scent of forests, kitchens, and steaming meals. Through bamboo, chopsticks become a tactile interface between humans and food. And from that sensory connection emerges an unspoken language of behavior. No one knows exactly when sticking chopsticks upright into a bowl of rice became taboo. Many ethnologists believe the custom dates back to the Han Dynasty, when incense rituals connected the living with the dead. Two chopsticks standing vertically resemble incense placed in ash, a symbol associated with funerals. Thus, any action at the table that evokes death is considered disrespectful. This is not mere superstition. It is a way society maintains the boundary between the sacred and the everyday. When chopsticks are misused, the dining space becomes symbolically contaminated, disrupting the harmony expected during a family meal. Another example is passing food directly from chopstick to chopstick, a behavior considered extremely impolite in Japan. During funeral rituals, bones of the deceased are passed between chopsticks in a ceremony called katsuage. When two pairs of chopsticks touch, collective memory recalls that somber atmosphere. What appears harmless becomes a cultural taboo. In Korea, tapping chopsticks against a bowl is often seen as poor manners, partly because the act was historically associated with beggars, who used the sound to ask for more food. These taboos reveal something deeper. Chopsticks are not merely biological tools, they are social symbols. They guide behavior, shape politeness, and create a subtle code of conduct that anyone raised within East Asian culture absorbs almost unconsciously. And when this culture encountered the West, chopsticks experienced a fascinating rebirth through language. When Western trading ships first arrived in East Asia in the 17th century, sailors were astonished to see locals eating with two wooden sticks. Unfamiliar with the symbolic system behind them, they gave the utensil a simple name, chopsticks. In maritime English at the time, chop meant quickly, as in the command chop chop. To them, chopsticks were tools that allowed Asians to eat with remarkable speed. What is fascinating is how this naming reflects Western industrial thinking. They looked at the tool and saw speed, Efficiency. Action. In China. However, term kuaizi, popularized during the Ming Dynasty, also means fast. But its origin relates to linguistic belief. The older words sounded similar to a character meaning to stall or to be stuck, considered unlucky. So it was replaced with kuai, meaning quick, to avoid negative connotations. The same object. Yet two civilizations interpreted it for entirely different reasons, one grounded in practicality, the other in linguistic symbolism. It was also during this era of global trade that chopsticks entered the modern world, where they now face perhaps their greatest challenge: sustainability. Today, in many restaurants across Asia, disposable chopsticks appear in towering piles. A 2013 study in China estimated that the country consumed more than 80 billion pairs of single-use wooden chopsticks each year, equivalent to millions of trees felled. Convenience, the very factor that once made chopsticks widespread, has become a threat to the ecosystem that created them. Even more concerning, the bleaching process for disposable wooden chopsticks often uses chlorine or hydrogen peroxide, leaving chemical residues that consumers cannot easily monitor. Studies from Japanese standards institutes have warned that the carbon emissions associated with producing single-use chopsticks can exceed those of reusable alternatives. Here lies the paradox. Chopsticks, symbols of restraint, are being pulled into a culture of rapid consumption. They may be used for minutes. Yet forests require decades to recover. Still, a quiet shift is emerging. Personal chopsticks made of steel, recycled wood, or sustainably farmed bamboo are regaining popularity. Schools and offices in Japan and Korea have begun encouraging people to carry their own chopsticks again, reviving the philosophy of eating with awareness, a principle that chopsticks represented for thousands of years. When we look at the future of chopsticks, we are not merely looking at an object. We are looking at our own choices, convenience, or sustainability. Temporary ease or long-term responsibility.